168 now have flag holders. I was so inspired in doing that work, and it was so invigorating and discovering. It was so fulfilling for me personally that I began the work of researching all people here in this cemetery buried to find out who the veterans were. And about a year and a half later, all veterans, now all 831 veterans in this cemetery now have their flag holders and flags. Imagine it's 1862 and the Civil War is raging. This town has already sent many men away. Word comes back that Samuel Baumgartner fell from a Confederate bullet at Fair Oaks, Virginia. But his body did not come home. That winter at the bloody Battle of Fredericksburg, 5 more of our residents gave their all. And only 1 body came home. More men died of sickness. More men from Petersburg to Antietam to Andersonville prison pen, to Salisbury, North Carolina prison pen. Men continued to die. This community continued to live under the bad news that not all of their citizens were coming home. Professor David LaRosse, superintendent of Dauphin County Schools in 1864, this bugged him. How are we going to remember these men are not going to come home? There won't be a tablet here. Their body will not be here. So he started to raise funds with the citizens of Derry to honor those men that weren't going to be coming home at all. By the end of the Civil War, 16 of our men from town and vicinity were known not to be coming home alive. I want to introduce you to this monument behind me, made of local brownstone, manufactured in 1865 and 1866, and erected by Professor LaRosse and his committee, and commemorated on Decoration Day, May 25th, 1867. And on this tablet, you'll see in gold those men in memory of our heroic dead. I invite you to take a look at this monument at your convenience. The men's lettering in white are men who did come home and had a chance to live out the rest of their lives alive. There's 11 men mentioned here that are not buried here. Their bodies are in the South, at battlefields and at prison pens. And if they could speak today, they would say, "Do not forget me." As I continued my research on the veterans here, I realized that there was 25 Spanish-American War veterans. One of them, William Shoup, he died of malaria while serving in the... He contracted malaria while serving in the Philippines. He came home and died. Yes, he gets a gold star. There's 27 veterans represented in this cemetery with gold stars. Those are the flag holders that we deliberately painted gold so that passers-by can know that there's a difference between his sacrifice and the sacrifice of the rest of the veterans. There's 138 veterans buried in this cemetery from World War I. One of them is Harrison Shoup. He got gravely wounded in July of 1918 in France. He's part of the engineering group in the front lines. They shipped him home right away to recover, but he only lasted a few more months. He's buried out there in the center with his gold star. There's 331 veterans from World War II buried in this cemetery. And there's many gold stars in that group. One of them is Second Lieutenant Wendell Johnson, co-pilot of a B-17. After dropping their bomb load over Berlin on May 8, 1944, they were a third of the way home when German anti-aircraft artillery crew were able to parachute to safety. But Second Lieutenant Wendell Johnson did not make it. He's hoping you don't forget him. Right out here is a gold star for Navy Lieutenant Robert Nisley, serving on the escort carrier Bismarck Sea off the coast of Iwo Jima in February 1945. His light carrier got hit by a kamikaze that evening. And as Lieutenant Nisley was heading up the fire control crew to put out the fires, a second kamikaze, guided by the glow of the fires of the ship, also struck the Bismarck Sea. That second kamikaze was the death knell of the Bismarck Sea. The captain immediately ordered abandon ship because the whole ship was aflame. Explosions from bombs and aircraft fuel. Lieutenant Nisley was one of 318 crew members who did not make it home. He's hoping you do not forget him. We have 69 men buried here at the cemetery from the Korean War. One of the Gold Star members from that war who's buried here, who hopes that you do not forget him, is Kenneth Stuck. Kenneth Stuck was part of the 8th Cavalry, Army Infantry. As his outpost in North Korea on November 2nd, 1950, was overrun by thousands and thousands of Chinese. Yes, that's the Chinese that MacArthur said were not going to participate in the war. Corporal Stuck was presumed dead and missing until the North Koreans returned his body in January of 2016 to this place. He hopes you don't forget him. We have 30 Vietnam War veterans buried here. And let's not forget the peacetime veterans, the 58 men and women who served in peacetime who are buried here. Mike, what's that have to do with Memorial Day? Aren't we celebrating just those who gave their all? Well, yes, we are. On July 23rd, 1957, aboard a Neptune Navy patrol aircraft based out of Hawaii, local Hummelstown boy James Strunk, an aviation technician, was part of a 10-man crew who went down from a mechanical error. That plane went down. All crew members perished. James Strunk's body was recovered and returned here. He's hoping you don't forget him. As the other speakers here today mentioned, I also asked, find what's important to you relative to the veterans who gave their lives. Can you do research? Can you honor and thank them in your own way, in a public way, a public service way? So many of the stories of the veterans here are incomplete. I wish I had the full stories of every veteran here, but I don't. I need your help. We need your help. The Historical Society and the Hummelstown Cemetery Association need your help. If you have information on your person who's buried here, whether they're a veteran or not, but especially if they're a veteran, please contact us. We can help you do the research. The research resources available to you online are incredible. It would make this a better community, and it would better serve those men who have gone before, and women. Again, if the veterans that we're honoring today, who gave their all, gave their futures, could speak on this microphone today, they would say, "Do not forget me." Thank you.